Now we're going to connect the two tail pieces to create the tail. So the one with the orange stitch marker was my first tail piece. It's the one that I fastened off and cut off. And then I just finished the last single crochet stitch in my second tail piece. So if I were to continue crocheting like normal with this piece, I would go into the green stitch marker, to the stitch mark by the green stitch marker. But because I'm connecting these two pieces, I'm actually going to put my hook under the same hole as the orange stitch marker instead. And I'm going to actually take that out before I put my hook in. Just remember to memorize where that stitch marker was, because that marks the first stitch in the last round of the first piece. Oh, also I've gotten myself in a dilly of a pickle here. Other thing you want to make sure you do is make sure your working yarn is behind your hook. So I'm going to take my hook out for a moment and then rearrange. Ta-da! So now my hook is under the V that was marked by the orange stitch marker, and my working yarn is behind the hook like it normally should be. Now I am going to do the single crochet stitch like normal to start round 4, pause, and mark that first stitch I just made with the orange stitch marker again. Okay, so now I know that is the first stitch of round 4. And then I'm going to just crochet all around the first piece like normal. So that should be a total of 6 single crochet stitches. So you might get confused, by the way, at this point, because that little nub in there, that's the fasten off. That's not a stitch, so make sure you keep count that you've only done 6 single crochet stitches around this first piece of the tail, starting from the stitch marked by the orange stitch marker. Now I want to crochet into the stitch that's marked by the green stitch marker. So I'm going to memorize where that is. This is how we connect the two sides here. I actually don't need the green stitch marker at all anymore, so I'm putting it off to the side. And now I'm going to crochet another 6 single crochet stitches, this time around the second tail piece. And I'm going to make sure I keep counting as I do this, because I will know that I've done it correctly if my last stitch winds up right next to the one that's marked by the orange stitch marker. Like that. And I'm just going to double check that I have the right number of stitches here. So starting from the one marked by the orange stitch marker, 1V, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12, with the loop for the hook coming out of the 12th stitch. And that's how we connect the two tail pieces together.